Here are the top reasons why going to college now could be a huge waste of time and money. Number 6. Universities. Non-profit. A higher education for Americans has become more expensive, and yet degrees are more plentiful than ever. Let's be for real. The cost of education has skyrocketed, and the job prospects have become weaker, especially for those people who've attended less than subpar universities. In case you haven't noticed, tuition expenses have been growing much faster than inflation. Actually, 4 times the rate of inflation since 1978. Sorry to break it to you, but a lot of colleges don't really care about your education. They just care about making the most money they can. This is certainly evident in actual for-profit universities such as University of Phoenix and Devry University, just to name 2. Now, I know not all colleges and universities are the same, because there are still plenty of great institutions that are around that still make plenty of sense to attend. But in general, a lot of colleges have become bureaucratic money-making machines, where the focus is put on everything else except actual learning. These colleges focus on the cash flow of their so-called non-profit institution, which for some colleges really shouldn't be labeled as such. When big football schools are paying coaches millions of dollars a year, generating cash flow just like any other business, using its student athletes for essentially free labor, and growing their student population while consistently raising tuition, can you really call it a non-profit organization focused on education anymore? If these universities are really worried that much about education, why not pay professors much more to make sure there are plenty of quality people teaching the future generation? I'm not talking about millions a year. I'm talking about a high enough salary to consistently attract talented people to get into teaching. Unfortunately, there's no popular math championship that'll get millions of dollars flowing straight into colleges and universities. No, really, I get it. Any institution has to be run like a business in order to survive. But how you run it still shines through. Colleges prefer to spend more money on administration when they don't even teach, and save when it comes to hiring full-time professors. And no, introducing classes such as the cultural politics of Lady Gaga and vampires and politicizing Beyonce isn't considered an upgrade for student learning. Number 5. You're not really learning. One of the major problems with college in general is your focus to regurgitate a lot of information that's just not going to be useful in the future. Sure, there's going to be some information in classes that's going to be great for trivia night at your local bar, and yes, there is information in certain classes that's really going to help you with being a well-rounded individual, such as knowing which countries are where on a map. What's a much more valuable skill set that they don't teach in college is actually learning how to learn. A lot of people don't know how to find out information for themselves unless it's spoon-fed to them. There are too many classes that force students to memorize information on a subject that can easily be found on the internet with your smartphone. And let's not get into the fact that there's just way too much information in general for each class to memorize for multiple exams during exam week. Learning how to solve problems is the key to success in the real world, not regurgitating information that's easily found on the internet. Also, in order to get that high-paying job so you can pay back your student loans, you're at the mercy of grades. In order to get high grades, you got to be able to figure out what your professor wants to regurgitate back on the exams. When you first get into college, you're told that you're going to be able to think for yourself while you work hard for that A you're looking for. The problem is that's just not true. What you're actually going to learn is how to think like your professor. Not many professors actually care about a student's opinion on the topic at hand, since that student doesn't have experience in that subject and real life in general. If your professor is a huge liberal or conservative, you better pick whatever side he or she likes. If you don't agree with your professor in some random class and you put down some sort of answer he or she disagrees with, you can say bye to the grade you were hoping for. And that's inherently the disconnect that you'll encounter at school in general, not just in college. Number 4. Faculty mindset. Saying faculty isn't the same today as they used to be is probably an understatement. Let's just say times have been a-changing. Professors are caught up chasing tenure. Or maybe they already have tenure, but they're also getting paid doing some consulting work. college professors spend less and less time doing what they're actually supposed to be doing, teaching students. In fact, as far as teaching is concerned, they might have been teaching students how to think a little bit too much. There's been this recent trend of limiting the freedom of speech, which somehow professors promote all around the country, so everyone feels comfortable and safe on campus. Recent events at UC Berkeley confirmed this trend when the administration canceled Milo Yiannopoulos' speech, as university spokesman said, was because of threats of violence. Whether or not you agree or disagree with someone's belief, he or she still has the right to speak. While making everyone feel comfortable in the classroom isn't necessarily a bad thing at all, it is bad when it's affecting the teaching and thinking of students. Wasn't knowledge all about truth and facts? Instead of promoting truthfulness, colleges have started promoting political correctness more and more, becoming institutions of liberalism. A study funded by the Carnegie Commission on Higher Education in 1969 found that about 46% of professors describe themselves as liberal, 27% describe themselves as moderates, and 28% describe themselves as conservative. In 2014, a study known as the Politics of the American Professorate Survey polled a large sample of nearly 3,000 professors from different colleges across the nation what their political affiliation was, among other questions. The study found that 44% of the respondents could be classified as liberals, 46% as moderates, and only 9% as conservatives. Although the number of liberal professors stayed relatively the same, the number of conservative professors dropped dramatically. There are almost 5 liberal professors for every 1 conservative. As a matter of fact, the situation has become so bad that some professors hide their political views because they're scared of being judged by coworkers or not getting tenure if they promote themselves as conservatives. This also results in students being confused and not being able to freely express themselves, nor form opinions about the burning political issues of the day. Number 3, return on investment. The average 18-year-old in today's times just isn't really aware of how the real world works. It's because of not having real-world experience and having most likely a subpar public education. I'd even argue that the average 30-year-old in today's times doesn't really understand how the world works, but that's another subject. The thing is, people entering college have no clue what they want to do in life, but still, you're on your own to pick a major. The problem is, most majors are masquerading as fake careers. Really, how many years is it going to take to pay back 30 to 40 grand in tuition a year at a private institution with, say, a degree in Canadian studies? This is a real major at Duke University, by the way. I didn't just make this degree up. What I'm saying is this: if you're getting a liberal arts degree, I hope you're getting a full ride or having someone else pay the tuition for you. If you decide that going to college is the right decision for you, here's a quick and easy roadmap to max out your ROI. You should attend the highest quality university that you can get in while minimizing your debt. To be honest, if you're not going to go to a top university with a good name, it's probably best that you just attend community college and transfer to a top school, because, like I alluded to earlier, a degree from some school really doesn't mean anything anymore because almost anyone and everyone has a college degree. You have to have a major in a subject with a legitimate career prospect. You gotta do research on the future earning potential of your chosen career and do some math to figure out whether or not the major you want is worth the time and money. And no, I'm really not advocating to just pick the major that's gonna have the highest pay. What I'm advocating is for you to figure out whether or not the degree you pick is actually worth the time and investment. Trust me, no one wants to be saddled with $100K plus in student loans while only making 35 grand a year. Here's another thought on the cost of college. Would you buy $1 million house when you only work the cashier window at McDonald's? I hope you wouldn't, as most people understand why they'd be strongly advised to do quite the opposite. Well, you wouldn't be approved for the loan anyways, but that's a different story. At least I hope you wouldn't be approved. Anyways, choosing to take on a ton of student debt in a laughable major at a subpar university is conveniently called an investment in your future, and you're applauded all the way. Unfortunately, as soon as you step into the real world, a lot of people see that getting a return on that investment with a degree in Canadian studies isn't as easy as it sounds. You don't want to be the person who got a degree that doesn't justify the massive loan. Number 2, losing focus. The purpose of all education, but especially higher education, is to train students to be proficient in a certain discipline before they become professionals in that area, or if they choose, before they continue their education. Becoming a well-rounded and unique individual was the other part of going to college. It used to mean something when someone said that a certain individual went to college. Now, it's safe to say a lot of colleges seem to have given students reason to lose their true purpose. Instead of students who really deeply focus on actual learning, now students just chase high GPAs just so they can get that paper degree in the end. I'm not blaming the students, I'm blaming the culture of going to college and just having a degree just so you can have that piece of paper so an employer can think about hiring you. I always say, don't hate the player, hate the game. Attending college means you're smart, right? Well, maybe in the past, but not today. Now, almost everyone has a somewhat easy access to student loans and subsequently an access to a college degree. And what does that mean? It means that everyone can attend, which results in you not being differentiated in the slightest bit if you go to just even an average university. As I discussed earlier, a lot of colleges have become all about the money, and they're willing to accept anyone who wants to pay the tuition. Unfortunately, getting in college isn't a guarantee you get something of value. Let's just keep thinking about this logically for a minute. If more and more people are now attending college, and more people now have a college degree, doesn't having a college degree now really make it the same as having a high school degree? And now having a graduate degree is the new college degree. Who's really getting the better end of the deal here? Who really wants to be in school for 20 years and beyond? I'm going to be starting Pablito's Way University soon if this college thing gets any bigger. Number 1. Entrepreneurs and college. If you're looking to be an entrepreneur or a business owner, college is just going to be a huge waste of time for you. Sure, there's certainly value in the connections you make and also the experience and fun in college, but really, building your business that you already know you'll be pursuing early is going to be a much more valuable use of your time. This is probably the most important thing regarding why college is a waste of time and money. You don't need a degree to be an entrepreneur or a business owner. There are things with being a business owner that just can't be taught at school. The small failures that you encounter in building and scaling your business will teach you a much more valuable lesson and give you experience that you'll remember much more than some random course in college. Think of learning to run a business like learning how to shoot a free throw in basketball. Even if you have 10 years to study before taking your first free throw, there's just no way you can study your way into being a 90% free throw shooter without actually practicing free throws. You have to go out there and just do it. Having a degree offers a zero guarantee of success as a business owner. Of course, the degree might look nice in your own office one day, but it's not really going to help you get there any faster. There are plenty of successful entrepreneurs out there that have either dropped out of college or have never even attended it in the first place. Everyone knows about Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, both of whom dropped out of college to start their own companies. Also, the internet has become a massive library where every possible subject or topic you could ever think of is covered. You can pretty much become an expert in anything. The opportunities are really endless for information on the internet. If you're going for the degree because you're going to climb the corporate ladder, college can make sense. But if you're going just to get a piece of paper before starting your own business, like I said before, I hope at least someone else is paying for the degree. Just like Will in Good Will Hunting said, you don't want to be the person who, quote, dropped 150 grand on a education you could have got for $1.50 in late charges at the public library. Well, as a matter of fact, let's not forget that top universities around the world offer free videos of their lectures online. If you're going to go the corporate route, you'll need that piece of paper that corporate America expects you to have. However, just make sure that it's worth it that you're putting in your time and money to get that piece of paper. Here's what's next. This is a lesson a lot of athletes can teach us. When anyone first makes any serious money of their own, they're going to spend some money because they're feeling rich. However, some people think that that cash flow is forever and spend it like it's going to come in forever. Unfortunately, Iron Mike was one of the many athletes